Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing the top 25. We're reviewing it, and there's a lot of things to review this week. For this week of college football, I will be fully doing that throughout the week. I'll be doing the review of the main games and other stuff. But right now, let's talk about this top 25 and give some updates of what's going on. Number 1 in the rankings, Georgia, 43 of the first place votes. I think that would change knowing the information that we have today, knowing that Brock Bowers is out for 4 to 6 weeks. He had surgery on his ankle. That is not good news for Georgia fans, but for everyone else, that is a chance to actually win a game against Georgia and put some pressure on them to actually win out. They have teams that can do it. They have Florida, they have Missouri, they have Ole Miss, Tennessee, and watch out for Georgia Tech. You're gonna have teams that can upset them. Let's see if they can do it. Then you have number 2, Michigan, with 16 votes for the number 1 spot. This team arguably is number 1. They've destroyed everyone they've played. They've not played many good teams, but they're going to play some soon. And we're going to see what happens. We're going to see how good of a team they are whenever we get there. Number 3, Ohio State, with 1 vote for number 1 spot. There's always this one person voting for number 1. Pretty good, very good week against Purdue. But they're playing number 7th ranked Penn State. I know that's a little... I just told you what number 7 is going to be. But Penn State versus Ohio State, big matchup this week. Arguably the most important matchup this week. It's at noon. I'll be covering that later on this week. Number 4, also 1 vote for number 1 spot, Florida State. Florida State, good. They look very good right now. They took care of business. They're looking pretty good. That's much I have to say. And number 5, Washington, with 2 votes for number 1 spot. You could argue they earned it. You could argue that, but they beat Oregon barely off of a missed field goal. Dan Lanning made a lot of mistakes, I feel like, throughout that game, but Washington capitalized. That's what you got to do to win sometimes. Good job, Washington. Then at number 6, you have Oklahoma. Oklahoma at number 6, they moved down a spot. I don't understand why they moved down a spot, I guess. I mean, Washington's played pretty good this year. You have Oklahoma here. You got to figure out, like, the rest of the year, if they win out, they're guaranteed a playoff spot. So we'll see what happens. And then number 7, Penn State, already talked about that. Legitimate chance, very much a legitimate chance to go out and beat Ohio State. Took care of business against UMass, scored 63 on them. Did what you're supposed to do, so yeah. Excuse me, number 8, Texas. Texas, you're 1 loss away from not having a chance to be in the playoffs. But you're probably not going to get another loss until maybe late in the year when you play Oklahoma again. They're probably playing Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. I see no other team that has a chance. Maybe Kansas if they go on a run of some sort, but they've already lost to Texas, so they only have that tiebreaker. Then you have number 9, Oregon. Oregon barely lost to Washington. Still played great overall. Got to limit your mistakes, though. Can't be aggressive all the time. You could have tied up. You could have made a 1-point game heading into half. You didn't do that. You went for it at midfield when you could have punted and put him at a long situation to score. Didn't do that. Failed. Then you missed a field goal. A lot of mistakes. Barely lost, but a loss is a loss at the end of the day. Number 10, North Carolina. North Carolina cracks the top 10. Very good job. They're 6-0. Very good win against Miami. Kind of dominating this. Miami found the groove late, but not much overall. It was a close game at half. Miami made a lot of mistakes, and North Carolina did more than just capitalize. They got like an 18-point lead at one point. They did very good. Number 11, Alabama. Alabama, okay. They barely beat Arkansas. This week's matchup against the 3rd Saturday in October versus Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. Oh my gosh, this is a huge game. Whoever wins this week has a very legitimate chance to make the playoffs later on, and whoever doesn't, their season might be over unless you get a very, very lucky break. You're in a very weird situation right now. This team's in a very, very weird situation right now. You have to beat Tennessee, and you got to beat LSU, and you got to beat Auburn in Auburn later in the year. I know that doesn't seem that much, but with Jordan Harrell's, a lot of weird situations happen. Bama's got to take care of business, but we'll definitely review that later on in the year, later on in the week. Number 12, Oregon State. Oregon State, good win against UCLA. They forced the quarterback to throw under 50% from passing wise. and 3 interceptions. Terrible game for their quarterback at UCLA. But Oregon State took care of business, and Oregon State's a very underrated place to play at. That's a tough place to play at, man. And then number 13, you have Ole Miss. Ole Miss at 13. I like that spot, to be honest. They didn't move anywhere. That's perfectly fine. I don't think they played, but now you have more games throughout the year. You can prove yourself even more and more and more. Especially against Alabama. Not Alabama. Especially against Georgia. That's a huge one. Got to win that one. And if you can, I will not be mad. I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm not mad if you beat. I'm not mad if Florida wins. I'm not going to root for Georgia or Florida in that game because I don't like Florida and I'm kind of tired of Georgia now. So yeah. If you I have a problem if you win too much, I'm probably not going to like you as much. That's why I kind of like I know I'm a Patriots fan. Look at that, but they very rarely won back-to-back years. Very rarely, and never in my lifetime they did that. Number 14, Utah. Utah took care of business against California. Proves again why they're one of the toughest places to play at. Good job, Utah. Number 15, Notre Dame. That's I don't know how I feel about a 2-loss team being ranked that high. Personally, I don't know how I feel about that. But if any team's going to deserve it, it's probably Notre Dame because they just demolished USC. It was very tough to watch if you're a USC fan. But Notre Dame, very fun. If you're a Notre Dame fan, because they scored 48 on them. The running game was great. Forced Caleb Williams to make a lot of turnovers. And when the USC had a chance in the fourth quarter, they put them away with a kick return for a touchdown. Good job. Very good job, Notre Dame. Number 16, Duke. Without their quarterback, they still took care of business against NC State. NC State's not a good team. We'll see how Duke plays this week, actually against Florida State. That's going to be a tough matchup. Number 17, Tennessee. You could argue Tennessee should be a little bit higher. You could argue. But I'm not going to make the argument. That's a fair spot. Beat Bama, you jump up. That's simple. Number 18, USC. USC has the largest fall of anyone this week of 8 spots. 8 spots. That is a lot of spots. Caleb Williams is not a Heisman favorite anymore. He's got to do a lot of crazy good things later on this year to be able to get that spot back. And that means also you have to beat Oregon. I think you have to play Washington at one point. You have to. Well, you might have to play another team. I don't know fully, but I'll tell you one thing. It's going to be a very tough chance for Caleb Williams to have. Got to win out. Got to win the Pac-12. But you can't do that. You got to find a defense, though. Number 19, LSU. 2-loss team that high. Again, I don't know how I feel about that. But they have no defense. But their offense is really, really good. Their offense is almost as good as Tennessee's last year's was. Not to their level, but not far off. But even Tennessee's defense was better than this one. And they have Harold Perkins and Mason Smith. I don't know what they're doing. Harold Perkins made some good plays against Auburn. But he took care of business this week against Auburn. Still got Bama to play. Maybe can sneak in the West seed for the conference title game because Bama's still not lost in the SEC game. But LSU has. But only one. I think, yeah, they've only lost one. So they still control their destiny overall because they're going to have to beat Bama and everything else like that. And then you have number 20, Missouri. A 6-1 good win against Kentucky. Very good win against Kentucky, I should say. You were down 14-0, then stormed back, won the game. Defense played pretty good. Offense played good. Hey, good job, Missouri. You're 6-1 right now. You're looking good. You have Georgia later on in the year. That's another team that could beat them. Hey, you have a legitimate chance. This schedule, you have to play Tennessee and Georgia. That is not easy, but I'm pretty sure that some other teams have to play. That's pretty tough, but it's not easy. But no SEC schedule is going to be super easy. I mean, even Georgia's. It was easy compared to the rest of the SEC. If you put that for a Big Ten team, even like Ohio State, they'd probably lose like 2 or 3 of those games, guaranteed. So, yeah. Again, number 21, Louisville. They dropped 7 spots after losing to Pittsburgh. I picked that. I projected that to happen. Pitt, I knew Pitt was going to beat them. They always end up beating a team that's somewhat good, that like on a run, they always beat them, and they did it this year too. So, good job, Pitt. But Louisville, they just couldn't put enough points. Pitt had control over the game, and they just kept that way. So, yeah. But Louisville can definitely work their way back up. They only have 1 loss. Just get back in the flow of things. Maybe get lucky at one point. The Miamis keep losing. So maybe have a chance later on in the year to make some important games and win them. He's already got a good win against Notre Dame. And the more Notre Dame wins, the better it looks for you. And then number 22, first time on this ranking, Air Force. Air Force is 6-0. They have this game. They have a game this week against, I don't know, I think Navy or Army. It's on CBS at noon. I only know that because I've been watching. I always watch the A&M and Tennessee game. But Air Force 6-0. Good job. Let's see if that can continue. Number 23, also back in the rank. They're back in the rankings for the first time in about 4 weeks. Tulane, welcome back. Number 23 in the country. I think we already discussed Tulane before. The only loss of the Ole Miss with a backup quarterback, and they didn't play bad in that game. So they have a good team. They have a very good team. If they can win out, they might be one of those teams that's like, if they go undefeated one of these years, why don't they deserve a playoff spot? And with the 12-team thing coming next year, why wouldn't they deserve a playoff spot type of thing? Number 24, also welcome back to the rankings. Iowa without Cade McNamara. They played a game against Wisconsin. Cade McNamara is out for the whole year with an ACL tear, I'm pretty sure. It was the most typical Iowa-Wisconsin game you could have asked for. I think it was like 15-6. How do you get the 15 when you score a touchdown first and another team has 6? I don't understand. But Iowa's typical way of winning football: play defense, run the ball, score when you can. It's not going to be often, so take advantage when you can. Good job, Iowa. And number 25, this team lost this week, UCLA. Barely holding on in the rankings. Barely holding on. I think James Madison should be in over them, because James Madison's just walked through every team. But UCLA had a struggle against Oregon State, but they've had some good wins this year, like against Washington State. They got to get more of these type of wins, though, so they get more validation. They have to play USC at one point. That's another team USC had to play. It's going to be a fun matchup. Remember, this is only a freshman quarterback they have. He's overall doing pretty good. But Chip Kelly is just going to get better, so UCLA still has a bright future ahead of them. They're heading to the Big Ten, though, so watch out. And yeah, that's the rankings for this week. And yeah, put in the comments what you feel about this. Hope you all have a great day. Stay safe, y'all, and God bless y'all.